when we talk about Freedom Wake, one of the first elements of the Freedom Wake, and I'm not sure what the right words to use are, Cathy, here. You know, is it a prerequisite in terms of sort of a series of stages one walks through? But when we were talking before, you talked about the stage or the element of innocence.
Yes.
As sort of an essential aspect of the Freedom Wake. We want to talk about innocence because it's kind of like where we start.
Where all of us start.
With it's the beginning point of the Freedom Wake.
It's the beginning point, yes.
Reconnection with innocence, yes. Rediscovery of innocence.
Yes, and that could be the innocence in any new endeavor or experience you undertake. But my writing of innocence is from the perspective of when we're born, and the fact, and to honor the spirit of us, that we are born and we come into this world as babies, completely open, pure, 1,000,000% perfect, whole and complete, from an energetic point of view. When they say from 0 to 5 are the most important years, and that, like, you know, you've heard that, like, in terms of development and that, it's because whatever you give that, because we're open, because the innocence is, we come and we're open, and what that means is our chakras, our energy centers are not closed. So we are open and we are like sponges, as my mom would always say, where you actually intake everything. So you are going to become, what's being fed and how you're going to be nourished is what home you live in, what neighborhood you live in, what city you live in, what country, what nation, what religious, what not religious views. Whatever your physical world looks like is what you actually intake as your nourishment and your truth at that time. The reason why they say up to 5 is so important is because at 5, that's when you actually have developed enough to reason. And the intellect is developed enough that you can actually start to think for self, as opposed to someone else thinking for you. But this is where it gets interesting, because this is where actually everything gets built till you get to the point where you realize it's all illusion. Because 99.9% of the stuff that gets filtered into you is not your truth, it's somebody else's that they're giving you. And you do not have the intellectual ability as a baby to decipher and filter. So you take everything in, and even though I'm not good with computers, you actually store it in your computer system. And when you get to the point where you can actually start making choices and decisions, and someone comes to you and they ask you a question, you funnel back in your research into all your programs that you have within, and you get your answer. And that becomes your truth. So my point of being innocent is the fact that we are perfect and whole and complete when we come here. And we still are no matter what. And so the world that's been created for us, that we've taken in and that we've labeled as our own and we live, usually isn't from that innocent point. But if you know that the innocence is still alive, and you know that that purity is still, that is your key to embrace and awaken to and remember. I always say it's a process of remembering who you are, the truth of who you really are. Because we forget it along the way, based on, you know, someone saying as a kid, you know, don't talk to me or you're stupid. Well, that gets filed as I'm stupid. I mentally believe I'm stupid. So my emotion is I'm really scared to speak. The physical symptom of that is depression. So again, this leads directly into our energy body and the fact that, you know, we will live from from your 3rd chakra down. I think this, I feel this, I function this way, as opposed to knowing the other side of the coin.
I'd like to just kind of finish the conversation around innocence, because I think I'd have to count, and I should know this off the top of my head, and I don't, but there's like, when you've kind of laid out the Freedom Wake, you've got like 12 elements, innocence being number 1. So let's just kind of, you know, wrap up the introduction to sort of why everything starts with innocence. And the role it plays in the unfolding.
Okay, it's the birthing.
way.
It's the birthing. It's your birthing.
And it's as simple as that.
It's the birthing. It could be the birthing of the experience of this book. It could be the birthing of the experience of your new job. It could be the birthing of a new relationship, or it could be on the deepest level the birthing of where you, as a spirit, as an energy, come into this very physical world with this physical body, and it is the beginning stages of the integration of all of those elements, and whether or not, and how it is absolutely necessary in this energy world and setup that we lose sight of that innocence in order to remember it in the end, which is why it is so important sometimes to be in darkness in order to see that there's light.